The alien ship moved through space like a shadow. It was called the Veltar, and it belonged to the Korthani Empire. The ship was small but powerful, built for watching and learning about new worlds. Commander Zephyk stood on the bridge, his blue skin glowing softly in the dim light. His large black eyes studied the screens in front of him. "Sir, we are approaching the target system," said his navigation officer. The officer's name was Thren, and he had been with Zephyk for many years. "The third planet shows signs of life." Zephyk nodded slowly. This was what they had come to see. The Korthani Empire had been growing across the galaxy for thousands of years. They had found many worlds with life and many species that could be useful to them. Some species were smart and became allies. Others were weak and became servants. A few were dangerous and had to be destroyed. "What do we know about this species?" Zephyk asked. "They call themselves humans," Thren replied. "They have only recently learned to travel between stars. Our scouts say they achieved faster-than-light travel about 100 years ago. They are young and probably not very advanced." Zephyk smiled. Young species were usually easy to handle. They were excited to meet aliens and often agreed to trade deals that favored the Korthani. Sometimes they even asked to join the Empire willingly. "Any signs of military vessels?" Zephyk asked. "Yes, sir. There is one large ship patrolling the outer edge of their system. It appears to be some kind of warship, but it is alone. They probably sent it to investigate us." Zephyk looked at the main screen. In the distance, he could see a massive shape moving slowly through space. The human ship was bigger than he had expected, but that meant nothing. Many young species built big ships to make themselves look strong. Usually these ships were empty shells with weak weapons. "Bring us to a safe distance," Zephyk ordered. "We will observe them first." The human ship was called the USS Defiant. It was indeed a battleship, one of the newest and most powerful ships in the human fleet. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. He was a tall man with short brown hair and calm eyes. He had been in space for 20 years and had seen many strange things. "Captain," said Lieutenant Amy Brooks, the communications. "Officer," she was a young woman with red hair and quick fingers. "We're picking up something on the sensors." Morrison turned to look at her. "What kind of something?" "Unknown contact, about 2 million kilometers away." "They're not moving toward us, but they're not leaving either." "They appear to be watching us," Morrison nodded. This was not unexpected. Earth had been sending ships to explore nearby systems for decades. They knew that other intelligent species existed in the galaxy. First contact protocols had been developed years ago for exactly this situation. "Are they scanning us?" Morrison asked. "Not yet, sir. Just passive observation." "They're being careful," Morrison smiled slightly. "Smart of them. Red, get me a full sensor sweep of their vessel. Let's see what we're dealing with." Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter looked up from his weapons console. He was a big man with dark skin and strong hands. "Captain, should I prepare the weapon systems?" "Not yet, Ben. Let's see what they want first. But keep the systems ready, just in case." On the alien ship, Commander Zephyk watched the human vessel with growing interest. The ship moved with smooth precision, its engines producing a steady blue glow. The humans seemed to know they were being watched, but they were not acting afraid or aggressive. They were simply alert and ready. "Interesting," Zephyk muttered. "They have good discipline." "Sir," said Science Officer Yevrik, "I am detecting unusual energy patterns from their ship. Their power systems are more advanced than we expected." Zephyk raised an eyebrow. "How advanced?" "They appear to be using some form of controlled fusion reaction. Very efficient, very clean. Their technology is not as primitive as we thought." This was unexpected news. Most young species were still using chemical rockets or simple nuclear power. Controlled fusion was a technology that usually took centuries to develop. "What about their weapons?" Zephyk asked. "Difficult to tell without a deeper scan. Their hull is heavily shielded, but I can detect multiple launch tubes and what appears to be some kind of energy weapon system." Zephyk considered this information. The humans might be more advanced than their initial reports suggested. But they were still just one ship, and they were far from home. Even if they had good technology, they could not match the power of the Korthani Empire. "Prepare for a full deep scan," Zephyk ordered. "I want to know everything about their ship, their weapons, their crew, and their capabilities." Yevrik hesitated. "Sir, a deep scan might be detected. If they are as advanced as they appear, they will know we are analyzing them." "Let them know," Zephyk replied. "It is time they understood what they are dealing with." On the human ship, Lieutenant Brooks suddenly straightened in her chair. "Captain, they're scanning us." Deep penetration scan, full spectrum. Morrison's expression became serious. A deep scan was not an act of curiosity. It was a military assessment. The aliens were trying to learn everything they could about human capabilities. That suggested they were either very cautious or potentially hostile. "How long until they finish their scan?" Morrison asked. "About 10 minutes for a complete analysis," replied Chief Engineer Rachel Moore. She was a small woman with blonde hair and sharp eyes. "They're being very thorough," Morrison made a decision. "Amy, open a channel to Earth Command. Priority Alpha, tell them we have first contact and request immediate backup." "Already done, sir," Brooks replied. "But it will take 6 hours for reinforcements to arrive. Ben, bring all weapon systems online. Don't target them yet, but I want us ready to fight if necessary." Carter's hands moved quickly over his controls. "All systems ready, Captain. We have full missile loads and energy weapons are charged. Rachel, what's the status of our engines?" "Ready for maximum power, sir. We can run or fight, whatever you need," Morrison nodded. His crew was good, trained, and ready. The Defiant was a powerful ship, built to protect human space from exactly this kind of threat. But they were facing an unknown enemy with unknown capabilities. "Sir," said Dr. Susan Grant, the ship's medical officer. She was a calm woman with gray hair and gentle hands. "What should we tell the crew?" Morrison considered the question. The Defiant carried 800 people, all of them skilled professionals. They deserved to know what was happening. "Ship-wide announcement," Morrison decided. "Tell them we have contact with an alien vessel. They are scanning us to learn about our capabilities. We are maintaining defensive positions but are not currently under attack. All crew should remain at their stations and be ready for anything." On the alien ship, the deep scan was revealing information that surprised Commander Zephyk. The human vessel was not just one ship. It was a mobile fortress packed with weapons and technology that seemed far too advanced for such a young species. "Sir," Yevrik said, his voice uncertain, "you need to see this." Zephyk moved to the science station. The data flowing across the screens was confusing and disturbing. The human ship contained technologies that the Korthani had never seen before. Their weapons were strange and powerful. Their crew seemed to be organized in ways that suggested they were all warriors. "This cannot be correct," Zephyk muttered. "Run the scan again?" "Sir, I have run it 3 times. The results are always the same." Zephyk stared at the data. According to the scan, the humans were not the weak young species he had expected. They were something else entirely. Something that made him feel afraid for the first time in many years. "Continue the scan," he ordered. "I want to know everything." But as the scan continued, Zephyk began to realize that some knowledge was, too, dangerous to possess. The humans were not just advanced. They were something the galaxy had never seen before. And now they knew the Korthani were watching them. The deep scan continued, and Science Officer Yevrik stared at his screens in growing confusion. The data coming from the human ship made no sense. He had scanned hundreds of species over the years, but he had never seen anything like this. "Commander," Yevrik called out, his voice shaking slightly. "I think there is something wrong with our scanners." Commander Zephyk moved quickly to the science station. "What is the problem?" "The biological readings from the human crew," Yevrik said, pointing at the display. "According to our sensors, they are all dying," Zephyk frowned. "Explain." "Every single human on that ship is in a state of constant cellular death. Millions of their cells are dying every second. But somehow, they are also replacing those cells. just as fast. It is like they are fighting a war inside their own bodies. Zephyk looked at the data. The Korthani lived for thousands of years because their bodies were stable. Their cells lasted for centuries without dying. But the humans seem to be rebuilding themselves constantly. This is impossible, Zephyk said. No species can survive with that kind of cellular destruction. But they are not just surviving, Yevrik continued. They are thriving. Look at these readings. Their bodies are producing new cells faster than the old ones die. And each new cell is stronger than the one before. On the human ship, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Susan Grant was running her daily health checks on the crew. She had no idea that her normal medical routine was terrifying the aliens who were watching. She checked the blood samples from the morning, medical reports, and noted that everything was normal. "Captain," she said over the communication system, "all crew members are healthy and ready for duty." What Dr. Grant did not know was that the alien scanners were analyzing every detail of human biology. They could see inside the human bodies, and what they saw was horrifying. Yevrik continued his report to Commander Zephyk. "Sir, their blood is not just for carrying oxygen. It is like a military force inside their bodies. They have white blood cells that attack and destroy any foreign material. These cells learn from each attack and become stronger." "What do you mean?" Zephyk asked. "If a human gets sick, their white blood cells study the disease and create weapons to fight it. Then, they remember how to fight that disease forever. Every human on that ship has defeated hundreds of diseases that would kill most species." Zephyk felt a chill run through his body. The Korthani had powerful immune systems, but nothing like this. Human bodies were like tiny wars happening every second, and the humans were winning every battle. "There is more," Yevrik said, his voice getting quieter. "Their skeletal structure is not just for support, it is a factory. Their bones are constantly making new blood cells, including the warrior cells that fight disease." Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter was in the weapons bay, checking the missile systems. He had no idea that the aliens were studying his body as he worked. The scanners showed that his bones were producing millions of new blood cells every hour, creating a fresh army to defend his body. "And their muscles," Yevrik continued, "are designed for explosive power. They can increase their strength by several times in emergency situations. Their hearts can pump blood much faster when needed. Their lungs can process oxygen more efficiently under stress." Zephyk realized what he was seeing. The humans were not just biological creatures. They were living weapons designed by evolution to survive in conditions that would kill most other species. "What about their brains?" Zephyk asked. Yevrik checked his readings. "Their brains are the most frightening part. They have sections that are dedicated to pattern recognition, threat assessment, and tactical thinking. But they also have areas that seem to be designed for creativity and problem-solving." On the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Morrison was reviewing tactical reports with his officers. The aliens did not know it, but they were watching human brains work in real time. The scanners showed electrical patterns that indicated constant analysis and planning. "Sir," said Lieutenant Amy Brooks, "the alien scan is getting more detailed." "They are analyzing our crew now, not just our ship," Morrison nodded. "Let them look. They might learn something interesting." What the aliens were learning was that human brains were unlike anything they had encountered. The scanners showed that humans could think about multiple problems at the same time. They could plan for situations that had not happened yet. They could imagine threats that did not exist and prepare for them. "Commander," Yevrik said, his voice now full of fear, "I think we need to stop this scan." "Why?" Zephyk asked. "Because I think they know we are scanning them and they are letting us do it on purpose." Zephyk looked at the main screen, where the human ship continued its patrol. The ship moved in patterns that seemed random, but the deep scan revealed they were actually complex tactical maneuvers. The humans were positioning themselves for maximum advantage while appearing to do nothing special. "They are not afraid of us," Zephyk realized. "They want us to scan them." Engineer Greg Palmer was working in the reactor core of the Defiant. He was surrounded by radiation that would kill most aliens instantly, but he worked calmly and efficiently. His body had adapted to the radiation through years of exposure, and his cells had learned to repair themselves faster than the radiation could damage them. The alien scanners detected this and sent the information to Yevrik. "Sir, they are working in environments that would be deadly to us. The radiation levels in their engine room would kill a Korthani in minutes, but the humans seem completely unaffected." "How is that possible?" Zefik asked. "Their bodies adapt. They can survive in conditions that would kill most species. High radiation, extreme temperatures, low oxygen, high pressure, their bodies just adjust and keep working." Zefik felt a growing sense of dread. The humans were not just advanced for a young species. They were survivors on a level that seemed impossible. Their bodies were designed to keep working no matter what happened to them. "What about their reproduction?" Zefik asked. Yevrik checked his data. "They reproduce very quickly compared to us. A human can have children in less than 1 year of pregnancy, and their children grow to adult size in less than 20 years. This was terrifying news. The Korthani took centuries to reproduce and raise their young. If the humans could reproduce this quickly, they could replace their population much faster than any other species. "Sir," Yevrik continued, "there is something else. The scan shows that every human on this ship has genetic material from many different human populations. They are not just one tribe or one nation. They are a mixture of their entire species." "What does that mean?" Zefik asked. "It means they have the combined genetic advantages of their entire species. They have the disease resistance of humans from every part of their planet. They have the physical adaptations of humans from every environment. Each human is like a compilation of the best traits from millions of their ancestors." Captain Morrison was talking to Dr. Grant about the crew's health status. The aliens could hear their conversation through the scanners, and what they heard made them more afraid. "Doctor, how are the crew handling the stress of potential first contact?" Morrison asked. "Very well, Captain. Heart rates are elevated but stable. Adrenaline levels are high but controlled. The crew is in peak condition for combat or negotiation, whatever is required." The aliens realized that the humans were not just ready for contact. They were ready for war. Their bodies were preparing for battle even while they maintained diplomatic appearances. "Commander," Yevrik said quietly, "I recommend we end this scan and leave immediately." "Why?" Zefik asked, though he was beginning to understand. "Because we are not scanning a normal species. We are scanning the galaxy's most successful survivors. And they are letting us do it because they are not afraid of what we might learn." Zefik looked at the data one more time. The humans were living weapons, shaped by evolution and experience into something that could survive anything. They were not just intelligent or advanced. They were dangerous in ways that the Korthani had never imagined. "Continue the scan," Zefik ordered, though his voice was uncertain. "We need to know everything." But deep inside, he was beginning to suspect that some knowledge was too dangerous to possess. The deep scan moved from studying human biology to analyzing their technology. Weapons Officer Krall H. took over this part of the scan, and within minutes he was staring at readings that made no sense. "Commander Zefik," Krall called out, his voice tight with worry. "You need to see their weapons systems." Zefik moved to the weapons analysis station. The data flowing across the screen showed the armaments of the human ship in terrifying detail. "What am I looking at?" "Their missiles are not just explosives," Krauth explained. "Each one contains a small computer brain. The missiles can think, learn, and make decisions on their own." This was far beyond what the Korthani had expected. Most species use simple guided missiles that flew toward their targets. But the human weapons were intelligent, capable of changing their attack patterns during flight. "Show me more," Zefik ordered. Krauth brought up detailed scans of the human torpedo bay. Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter was running routine maintenance on the weapons systems, unaware that every move he made was being analyzed by hostile aliens. Each missile can communicate with the others, Krauth continued. They work together. As a team, if one missile is destroyed, the others adapt their attack to compensate for the loss. Zephyk felt his blood grow cold. The Korthani had never faced weapons that could think and cooperate. Their own missiles were powerful but simple. They flew straight at their targets and exploded on impact. What about their energy weapons? Zephyk asked. That is where it gets worse, Krauth replied. Their energy weapons are not fixed in place. They can move and rotate to track multiple targets at once. And the power output is variable. Variable how? They can choose how much damage to do. The same weapon can disable a ship's systems without destroying it, or it can burn through the strongest armor we have. They control the level of destruction they want to cause. This revelation was disturbing. Most species built weapons for maximum destruction. The humans had built weapons that could choose how much damage to inflict. That suggested a level of tactical thinking that was far beyond what young species usually possessed on the human ship. Chief Engineer Rachel Moore was working in the main fabrication bay. She was overseeing the production of replacement parts. For the ship's systems, the alien scanners detected her work and began analyzing what they saw. Commander, Krauth said, his voice now shaking, their manufacturing systems are not just for making spare parts? What do you mean? They can convert raw materials into weapons. Any materials. I'm watching them turn metal plates into missile components. They can take debris from destroyed ships and turn it into ammunition. Zephyk stared at the data. The human ship was not just a warship. It was a mobile weapons factory. They could create new weapons from whatever materials they found in space. The fabrication systems are connected to their central computer, Krauth continued. The computer can design new weapons based on what enemies they are fighting. It learns from each battle and creates better weapons for the next fight. This was the most frightening revelation yet. The humans did not just carry weapons. They carried the ability to create new weapons that were specifically designed to defeat whatever enemy they encountered. What about their defensive systems? Zephyk asked, though he was beginning to fear the answer. Their armor is not just metal plates, Krauth replied. It is layered with different materials, each designed to stop different types of attacks. Energy weapons, projectiles, radiation, even biological weapons, they have defenses against everything. Lieutenant Amy Brooks was monitoring the ship's defensive systems from her position on the bridge. The alien scanners could see that the human ship had multiple layers of protection, each one designed to handle different threats. But the most disturbing thing, Krauth continued, is their redundancy. Every critical system has backups. If their main weapons are destroyed, they have secondary weapons. If their engines are damaged, they have backup engines. They have built their ship to keep fighting even after suffering massive damage. Zephyk realized that the humans did not just build ships to win battles. They built ships to survive battles that should have destroyed them. Every system was designed with the assumption that the ship would be heavily damaged but would need to keep fighting. Show me their tactical systems, Zephyk ordered. Krauth brought up new data. Their computers are constantly running battle simulations. Even now, while we are just watching each other, their computer is calculating how to defeat us. The alien scanners could see into the human ship's computer systems. Captain Morrison was reviewing tactical displays that showed dozens of different battle scenarios. Each scenario showed different ways the humans could attack the alien ship, and different ways they could defend themselves. They are not just preparing for one type of battle, Krauth explained. They are preparing for every possible type of battle. Single ship combat, fleet actions, planetary bombardment, boarding actions, they have plans for everything. Navigation Officer Pete Johnson was updating the ship's star charts when the alien scan passed through his station. The scanners detected that the human navigation system was not just for finding their way through space. It was also for finding the best tactical positions during battles. Their navigation system is integrated with their weapons, Krauth reported. They can calculate the best position to attack multiple enemies at once, or the best position to defend against superior numbers. Zephyk looked at the main display, where the human ship continued its patrol pattern. What had looked like simple movement was actually a complex tactical dance. The humans were positioning themselves to have maximum advantage no matter what happened next. "Commander," Krolf said quietly, "I think we need to consider the possibility that they are not just defending themselves. They might be preparing to attack us." "What makes you think that?" "Because every system on their ship is designed for offensive action. Even their defensive systems are built to allow them to keep attacking while under fire. This is not the ship of a peaceful species. This is the ship of a species that has learned to survive by defeating their enemies completely." Dr. Susan Grant was in the medical bay, preparing treatment facilities for potential casualties. The alien scanners detected her preparations and realized that the humans were not just ready for battle. They were ready for the aftermath of battle. "Their medical systems are designed for combat injuries," Krauth observed. "They can treat massive trauma, radiation exposure, biological weapons effects. They have prepared for every type of wound that war can cause." This suggested that the humans had extensive experience with warfare. They knew exactly what kinds of injuries their people would suffer in battle, and they had prepared to treat those injuries quickly and effectively. "What about their communication systems?" Zephyk asked. "Encrypted and redundant. They can communicate with each other even if most of their systems are destroyed. And they can communicate with other human ships across vast distances." Zephyk realized what this meant. The human ship was not operating alone. It was part of a larger fleet, and it could call for reinforcements at any time. "Sir," Krauth said, "I am detecting something else. Their computer systems are not just analyzing us. They are analyzing our technology." "What do you mean?" "While we are scanning them, they are scanning us. They are learning about our weapons, our defenses, our capabilities. They are gathering intelligence on our entire species." Zephyk felt a chill of fear. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were studying their potential enemies, learning their weaknesses, preparing to exploit those weaknesses if necessary. "Commander," Krauth said, his voice barely a whisper, "I think we have made a terrible mistake." "What kind of mistake?" "We came here thinking we were studying a primitive species. But they are studying us too, and I think they are better at it than we are." Zephyk looked at the tactical display one more time. The human ship had moved into a position that would allow it to attack the alien vessel while making it difficult for the aliens to escape. It had happened so gradually that he had not noticed it until now. The humans were not just ready for war. They were already fighting it. Captain Morrison had made his decision. The alien ship had been scanning them for too long, and the scan was too detailed. This was no longer just curiosity. This was a military assessment. He turned to his crew with calm determination. "Lieutenant Brooks, send a message to the alien vessel. Standard first contact greeting, but make it clear we know what they are doing." Amy Brooks nodded and began transmitting. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Defiant. We have detected your deep scan of our vessel and crew. We are prepared for peaceful contact, but we want you to know that we are aware of your presence and capabilities. On." The alien ship, Commander Zephyk received the message and felt a chill. The humans were not afraid. They were announcing that they knew they were being studied, and they did not care. "Sir," said Navigation Officer Thren, "the human ship is changing position again." Zephyk looked at the tactical display. The human vessel was moving in what appeared to be a simple patrol pattern, but their own computers showed the truth. Every movement the humans made gave them a better tactical advantage. They are not just moving randomly, Zephyk realized. They are positioning themselves to fight us. But what disturbed him more was that they were doing it slowly and calmly. There was no panic, no rushed preparations. The humans were preparing for battle as if it was just another day at work. On the Defiant, the crew was indeed treating the situation as routine. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Susan Grant was preparing the medical bay for potential casualties, but she moved with the same calm efficiency she used every day. Navigation Officer Pete Johnson was calculating escape routes and attack vectors while humming softly to himself. The alien scanners detected this calm behavior and reported it to Science Officer Yevrik. Commander, the human crew shows no signs of stress or fear. Their heart rates are elevated but stable. They are preparing for battle, but they are not afraid of it. This was unlike any species the Corthany had encountered. Most species showed clear signs of fear when facing a potential enemy. They panicked, made mistakes, acted desperately. But the humans were treating the possibility of combat as if it was a normal part of their job. What does their behavior tell us? Zefik asked. It tells us they have done this before, Yevrik replied. Many times, these humans are experienced warriors. The deep scan continued to reveal disturbing information about human psychology. The scanners could detect brain patterns and chemical signals that showed how the humans thought and felt. What they found was terrifying. Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter was running final checks on the weapon systems. His brain patterns showed complete focus and determination. There was no doubt, no hesitation, no fear. He was ready to fight and confident that he could win. Their brain chemistry is wrong, Yevrik reported. When most species face a larger, more advanced enemy, their brains produce fear chemicals. These chemicals make them want to run away or surrender. And the humans? Zefik asked. The humans are producing different chemicals. Their brains are releasing substances that make them more alert, stronger, and more aggressive. They are not afraid of us. They are excited to fight us. This revelation was deeply disturbing. The Corthany relied on fear to control other species. When faced with superior technology and numbers, most species became afraid and agreed to whatever terms the Corthany offered. But fear seemed to have the opposite effect on humans. Engineer Greg Palmer was working in the reactor core, making final adjustments to the power systems. The scanners showed that his brain was completely focused on his task, with no distractions or worries. He was preparing his ship for war with the same care that other species used to prepare for peace. Commander, Yevrik continued, I am detecting something else about their thought patterns. They are not just thinking about this battle. They are thinking about the war that might follow. What do you mean? Their brains are running scenarios about what happens after they defeat us. They're considering how to track down our homeworlds, how to defend against our fleets, how to prevent us from threatening them again. Zefik felt a cold fear growing in his chest. The humans were not just preparing to defend themselves. They were preparing to eliminate the threat completely. They were thinking like a species that had learned to survive by making sure their enemies could never threaten them again. Dr. Susan Grant was reviewing medical protocols for treating various types of alien injuries. The scanners detected that she was not just preparing to treat human casualties. She was also preparing to treat alien prisoners. They are planning to capture survivors, Yevrik reported. They want to learn about us, to study us the same way we are studying them. But that was not the most disturbing discovery. The scanners showed that every human on the ship was cross-trained in multiple skills. The medical officer knew how to fight. The engineer knew how to operate weapons. Even the communications officer had combat training. Every single human on that ship is a warrior, Yevrik observed. They do not have separate military and civilian personnel. They are all soldiers. Captain Morrison was reviewing tactical data with his senior officers. The alien scanners could detect their conversation and translate it in real time. What they heard made them more afraid. If this becomes a shooting war, Morrison said calmly, we need to assume there are more of them out there. Our primary goal is to disable their ship and capture their technology. Secondary goal is to take prisoners for interrogation. What about their homeworld? Asked Ben Carter. If they are hostile, we track them back to their base and eliminate the threat at its source, Morrison replied without hesitation. The aliens listening to this conversation realized that the humans were not just defending their territory. They were planning to go on the offensive if necessary. They would hunt down their enemies and destroy them completely. Sir, Navigation Officer Pete Johnson added, Earth Command has new intelligence about possible alien activity in 3 other systems. If these aliens are part of a larger group, we might be facing a coordinated threat. And then we deal with it the same way we always have, Morrison replied. We find them, we study them, and we eliminate the threat before it can harm Earth. Zefik realized that he was listening to a species that had learned to survive by attacking first. The humans did not wait for enemies to threaten them. They identified potential threats and eliminated them quickly and completely. Commander, Weapons Officer Krauth reported, the human ship is now in optimal attack position. If they choose to fire, we will have very little time to respond. Zefik looked at the tactical display. Somehow, while appearing to move randomly, the human ship had positioned itself perfectly for an attack. They could fire their weapons and escape before the alien ship could respond effectively. How did they do that without us noticing? Zefik asked. Because they think differently than we do, Krauth replied. We think about individual moves. They think about the entire battle from beginning to end. Every move they made was part of a larger plan. The scanners detected that the human crew was now at full battle readiness. Every system was prepared, every weapon was loaded, every person was at their station. They were ready to fight and confident they would win. Sir, Yevrik said quietly, I think we need to leave. Now, why? Because we are not scanning a normal species. We are scanning apex predators, and they have decided that we might be a threat. Zefik realized that the scan had revealed more than just human capabilities. It had revealed human intentions. These beings did not just have the tools to destroy civilizations. They had the will to use those tools without hesitation. They are not afraid of us, Zefik said. They are preparing to hunt us. The humans had passed some kind of test in their own minds. They had been measured and found worthy of survival. Now they were deciding whether the aliens were worthy of the same consideration. The final part of the deep scan was the most terrifying of all. Science Officer Yevrik had been analyzing the human ship's cultural database, and what he found there made him question everything he thought he knew about intelligent life. Commander. Zefik, Yevrik called out, his voice filled with horror. You need to see their entertainment files. Zefik moved to the science station, dreading what he would find. The data on the screen showed files labeled as movies, books, games, and music from the human ship's recreation database. What am I looking at? Zefik asked. They make art about war, Yevrik explained. They create stories about destroying their enemies. They write songs about victory in battle. They play games where they practice killing. Zefik stared at the data in disbelief. The Korthani created art about beauty, philosophy, and the harmony of the universe. But the humans created entertainment about warfare and destruction. Show me examples, Zefik ordered. Yevrik brought up files from the human database. There were movies about space battles where entire planets were destroyed. Books about soldiers fighting impossible odds and winning through determination and superior tactics. Games where players commanded fleets and conquered galaxies. They do not just prepare for war, Yevrik said. They enjoy thinking about war. They find it entertaining. On the human ship, Entertainment Officer Tracy Allen was managing the ship's recreation systems. She was updating the movie library and organizing game tournaments for the crew's off-duty hours. She had no idea that her normal work was horrifying alien observers. The aliens discovered that humans had turned warfare into an art form. They studied famous battles from their history and created detailed analyses of what had worked and what had failed. They learned from every conflict and used that knowledge to become better fighters. Commander, Yevrik continued, their historical files show that they have been fighting wars continuously for their entire recorded history. That is impossible, Zefik replied. No species can survive constant warfare. But they have not just survived, they have thrived. Each war taught them new ways to fight. Each conflict made them stronger and more united. The scan revealed that humans had fought wars against nature, wars against disease, wars against other humans, and even wars against their own planet's environment. Every challenge had made them more determined to survive and more skilled at overcoming obstacles. "Look at this," Yevrik said, bringing up human historical records. "They fought a war that lasted 6 years and involved their entire planet. When it ended, instead of being weakened, they had developed new technologies and new ways of working together." Zefik read the data about human wars. They had conflicts that lasted decades, battles that destroyed entire cities, and weapons that could kill millions of people. But after each war, they rebuilt and became stronger than before. They learned from destruction, Zefik realized. Other species are weakened by war. Humans are strengthened by it. Captain Morrison was in his ready room, reviewing historical files about first contact situations from human history. The alien scanners detected his research and realized that he was not just making up tactics on the spot. He was using lessons learned from centuries of human experience with dangerous encounters. "Sir," Yevrik said, his voice shaking, I understand why they are not afraid of us." Explain. "They have already faced extinction multiple times in their history. They have survived ice ages, plagues, asteroid impacts, and global wars. Every time, they found a way to survive and become stronger." The scan showed that the human species had come close to dying out several times. Each time, they had adapted, learned, and overcome the threat. They had developed the ability to survive anything the universe could throw at them. "They are not just warriors," Yevrik continued. "They are survivors. And they have decided that the best way to survive is to make sure that nothing can threaten them ever again." Dr. Susan Grant was reviewing medical files about treating alien biology. The scanners detected that she was not just preparing to help alien visitors. She was preparing to study alien weaknesses in case the aliens became enemies. "Commander," Yevrik said quietly, "I think we have made a terrible mistake by scanning them." "Why?" "Because now they know that we exist, and they have decided that we might be a threat to their survival." Zefik looked at the main screen where the human ship continued its patrol, but now he understood what he was really seeing. The humans were not just defending their territory. They were evaluating whether the Korthani Empire represented a threat that needed to be eliminated. "What are they waiting for?" Zefik asked. "I think they are waiting to see what we do next," Yevrik replied. "If we leave peacefully, they might let us go. But if we show any sign of hostility, they will attack us without hesitation." The alien scanners detected that the human crew was running final system checks. Every weapon was ready, every system was optimized, every crew member was at their station. They were prepared for immediate combat. "Sir," Weapons Officer Krauth reported, "the human ship is now transmitting on multiple frequencies. They are sending messages to other human vessels." Zefik felt his blood turn cold. The humans were calling for backup. If this became a fight, they would not be facing just one ship. They would be facing the entire human fleet. "How many ships?" "Are they calling?" Zefik asked. "Unknown, sir. But based on their communication patterns, I estimate at least 12 vessels are responding. They will be here within 6 hours." Zefik realized that the humans had been planning this from the beginning. They had allowed the aliens to scan them while secretly calling for reinforcements. If the aliens proved to be hostile, the humans would be ready with overwhelming force. Captain Morrison's voice came over the communication system, speaking in perfectly translated Korthani language. "Commander Zefik of the vessel Veltar, this is Captain Morrison. We have completed our mutual assessment. We believe it is time for us to talk." Zefik was shocked. The humans knew his name and the name of his ship. They had been scanning the alien vessel just as thoroughly as the aliens had been scanning them. "We know you represent the Korthani Empire," Morrison continued. "We have detected your technology and analyzed your capabilities. We are prepared to begin diplomatic relations, but we want to make our position clear." Zefik listened with growing dread. "Humanity is a peaceful species, but we have learned that peace must be protected by strength. We have survived for thousands of years by eliminating threats before they can harm us. We hope that will not be necessary in this case." The message was clear. The humans were offering peace, but they were also making a threat. If the Korthani Empire proved to be hostile, humanity would respond with total warfare. "We suggest that you return to your empire and report that humanity exists," Morrison said. "Tell them that we are willing to trade, to share knowledge, and to coexist peacefully. But also tell them that we are prepared to defend ourselves and our territory with any means necessary." Zefik made his decision. Navigation, set course for home. Maximum speed. "Sir, should we report our findings to the Empire?" asked Navigation Officer Thren. Zefik thought about the question. The Korthani Empire had protocols for dealing with dangerous species. They could be contained, controlled, or eliminated before they became a threat. But the scan had revealed that humanity was already too dangerous to threaten. "No," Zefik decided. "We report that this system contains no intelligent life. We mark it as a navigation hazard and recommend that all Korthani ships avoid this area." "But sir, the Empire expects a full report. Some knowledge is too dangerous to share," Zefik replied. "If the Empire knew about the humans, they might try to conquer them, and that would be a war that we could not win." As the alien ship retreated into hyperspace, Commander Zefik deleted all records of the encounter. The humans had passed their first test as a spacefaring civilization. They had been measured by one of the galaxy's most powerful empires and found to be too dangerous to provoke on the human ship. Captain Morrison watched the alien vessel disappear. "Stand down from battle stations," he ordered. "Resume normal. Patrol." The humans had achieved something that few species ever managed. They had convinced a potential enemy to leave them alone without firing a single shot. They had done it simply by being what they were, survivors who had learned that the best defense was to be too dangerous to attack. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had arrived and that they were not to be trifled with.